What's going on, guys? It's Groove back again with another video, and today we're on part 2 of Bitcoin or death. So in part 1 we went over the death portion, which is the current monetary system we live under, the fiat system with dollars and how that's dying and how it's destroying, society and people and relationships and how we want to make our way throughout this world. Now we're going to go over the Bitcoin portion. So does Bitcoin fix anything? Is Bitcoin money? How does it solve the problems that we have today? And so we're just going to go over a little bit of that today. So the first question he answers is Bitcoin money? So again, in the first part, we went over how money needs to be at least 6 things. So the first thing it needs to be exchangeable. Can you use it to exchange for goods and services? Yes, Bitcoin does check off that box. The second thing it needs to be is durable. Is it durable? Well, Bitcoin lives in the digital realm and it's on a blockchain ledger. So yes, it is durable. It will not break down. It will last for thousands of years, because it's digital. It's not in the physical realm. Is it divisible? So this one gets a lot of people when it comes to Bitcoin. One Bitcoin is 100 million Satoshis. So again, when it comes to buying Bitcoin, if you do want to buy it, a lot of people get nervous or scared because of the price, but you don't need to buy a whole one. So again, it's divisible into 100 million Satoshis. So you can buy $1. I think $1 today is worth maybe like 1,700 Satoshis or something like that. Money also needs to be portable. Again, because Bitcoin is digital, you can carry it across borders because it lives in a digital realm. So if you want to pick up from New York and go to Thailand, you can still get your Bitcoin. It's still the same. It doesn't have any transportation issues. This is one of my favorite parts about it. If you were to have it in a third world country and your country goes through war and you need to get the heck out, you can't sell your real estate. The money that you have, your fiat currency is probably going to be crap. You can't sell your art or your gold. It's going to be really hard. You just need to get up and go. Well, you can take your Bitcoin with you. Number 5, it needs to be scarce. Now with Bitcoin, there will only ever be 21 million. And I think it's even more scarce than that because there's so many coins that are lost. There's only so much to go around. And even now, big institutions like BlackRock are starting to get in. They're buying it OTC, which is over the counter. So they're getting it straight from the miners. So as far as me and you being able to just go on an exchange and get it, there's a very limited supply. Even though it's capped at 21 million, there's way less of that is going to be out there for us to even get our hands on. And the last thing it needs to be is fungible. So this means that it needs to be the same everywhere all around the world, which Bitcoin is. And I like this one a lot too, because a lot of people will complain how expensive America is, and if they have the type of job that allows them to leave, they will leave and go overseas, and they're like, wow, it's so much cheaper here in Thailand. Even though that's great, cool, now you're working remote in Thailand and you're able to afford all this stuff and the cost of living for you is better. It kind of sucks for those people that live in Thailand, and so that they have to work twice as hard to get, half the stuff that you have because they have to use the currency of that country. But if we could all just use one currency and it's equal across the board, I feel like that would be better for the entire world, all society, instead of just, again, because I'm able to work for dollars, but then live in a cheaper country, I get the benefit of that. That's what fungibility is. It's the same value all across the world. So what is Bitcoin? So at its core, Bitcoin is just math. It's ones and zeros. It's the digital language, if you will. It's funny when people are like, oh, I don't like Bitcoin. Well, that's like somebody saying, I don't like the number 5. It's just math. It's not good or bad. It's just a neutral tool that we can use to exchange value between one another. So Bitcoin lives on something that's called the blockchain. And so this is just it's a ledger of transactions, and it's all public for everybody to look at. And it is maintained by people that run these things called nodes, and everybody can run a node. And I think this is really great about Bitcoin is that, again, it's all open for everybody to look at. When you're working in the fiat world, how many times have we seen, people on the news, oh, such and such lost 2-point-something billion today. And it's like, where did that money go? Oh, we don't know. You don't have a record for this? Well, no, we don't know where it went. And it's like, you can't do that with Bitcoin. Every transaction is recorded. So it's like the first time in history when we've ever had honest money. Now, again, if I have Bitcoin and I want to send it to somebody else, nobody knows who is sending Bitcoin to who, but they can see that Bitcoin got sent from one address to another. And I love how honest that is. We all know where the money is coming from and going to. Again, we don't know who owns it, but we all see that the money is moved. With this current system, there's so much money that's just being moved and funneled in the background and behind curtains, and nobody knows who's getting paid what or where this money is going. Like when the US says, oh, we're going to send $95 billion to XYZ country. We don't know, first of all, we don't know who's getting that money. We don't know where it's going. We don't know what's getting allocated to food, weapons, shelter stuff, clothing, blanket, help for who's getting money funneled to them through back channels. Like we don't know any of this stuff. It's all behind curtains for us, but you can't do that in an honest system, which is Bitcoin. So how is Bitcoin created, or how does it come into existence? Anybody can mine Bitcoin, but it's become really hard to mine as far as, you know, a regular person in their house. And so a lot of these big companies have taken over mining. You can still mine. I currently mine in my own house, but I bought these things called the BitAxe, but they're kind of just like lottery tickets now. It doesn't actually give you Bitcoin. You just may hit a block. It's like a 1 in a million chance of hitting though. But anybody can mine, but now it is in the hands of these bigger corporations or these bigger companies that mine Bitcoin. And so when you're mining Bitcoin, every 10 minutes, you're using these computers to look for an algorithmic code. And again, the code usually gets solved around every 10 minutes. Sometimes it's a little before 10 minutes, sometimes it's a little after. And the more miners that come online all around the world, it makes finding that code even harder. So it incentivizes, again, more people to get in. So one person or one company can't control all the Bitcoin. So it just makes it makes it fair for everybody to have the same difficulty level. So when it comes to the security of Bitcoin, because a lot of people just say, can't somebody just hack it? Bitcoin has had all types of attacks over the last 15 years and nobody can crack it. And again, going back to that mining portion, every 10 minutes when a new block is discovered, it gets harder than the last 10 minutes to find that next block. And so every 10 minutes, it gets harder and harder and harder to hack and crack. And so if somebody hasn't hacked it in the last 10 minutes, it's just gonna be even more harder the next 10 minutes. It's kind of crazy it's like self-security, if you will. And you know, I just watched a podcast from this guy called Anthony Pompliano, and he just talked about how the Bitcoin now, this month in September 2024, has been running and operating longer than the United States stock market has been since we came off the gold standard in 1971. So, and it's crazy to think, it's like, wait, how does something that's been in operation for 15 years been, you know, operating longer than something that's been running since 1971? Or, I mean, it's been running longer than that, but since we came off the gold standard. And that's because the stock market is kind of like a job. You know, it's only open from like 9 to 3. Weekends and holidays off, when Bitcoin is just 24/7, 365 for the last 15 years, and people have been trying to pick at it, hack at it, get into it. They can't touch it. It's like, this is like one of the most secure things on planet Earth, if not the most secure thing. It can't be hacked. It's never been down. And again, since 1971, it's been running longer than the United States stock market, since the stock market came off the gold standard. This thing it's a beast, man, when it comes to this security. Another thing with security too, like a lot of people will say, again, with the hacking situation, you know, a lot of people, when I talk to them about it, they'll be like, oh, can't somebody just hack it? There are a lot of people right now dedicating their entire lives to hacking this thing, and I'm pretty sure a lot of countries, right? But at the same time, even though it's unhackable, there are a lot of smart, really dedicated people that are, you know, dedicating their lives to protecting this thing because they know how important it is. So, you know, that's a big one, because a lot of people just think that something is attacking it or somebody's attacking it as if there's not a whole bunch of people on the other side here to protect this thing because it's so important. Another big thing about Bitcoin is the privacy portion. That's a huge portion that, you know, nobody really thinks about. So like the actual transactions are public, but the people that are between those transactions are private, which is what you want. You know, you want to know when money's being moved around, but we shouldn't know the identities. So it's like the analogy of like a locker. Like everybody remembers back in high school and you see all the lockers around down the halls and stuff like that. Everybody knows what locker, we know when locker C19 is moving to money to locker, you know, C10, but we don't know who owns the lockers, which is how it should be. This stops governments getting in the way. You don't want anybody to stop you transacting. Like that should be illegal. Like if I want to send money from my bank to somebody in Japan, my bank is going to be like, why are you sending the money? Well, what are you doing? And they have to authorize that send of the money. And then after there, that bank in Japan needs to authorize the transaction as well. They're like, wait, where's this money coming from? Like, why are they sending you money? Why are you getting money from America? Like, there's just too many third-party intermediaries. I can't say that word. There's just too many people involved in between. Like, we shouldn't have to do that. Like, this is my money in the bank. I shouldn't have to tell you why I'm sending it to somebody else somewhere else, and Bitcoin alleviates that. Again, it's all open for the public to see. They know when money is being sent. They just don't know who's sending it to who. And that's the way it should be. It should be a fair, open monetary system. And again, with those truckers in Canada, which was messed up, like, people should be able to protest if they think that their government is doing them wrong. But what did the government do in Canada? They froze their bank accounts. Like, what? Like, I'm protesting because I have certain feelings about a certain situation, and your response to that is to cut off my money so I can't feed my family? Like, that is... we shouldn't be like that in society. But again, Bitcoin gets around that. But when we're operating this fiat system, we just have to play by the rules. So one major thing that Bitcoin solves is something called the Byzantine generals problem. And so what this is an open and fair monetary system that isn't controlled by anybody, but anybody can use it. If everybody's using the dollars, we kind of have to appease to the American government and what they're doing in order to transact with that money. This is another reason why I believe, like, everybody's all up in arms talking about BRICS, like, oh, all these nations are getting together to make their own currency. They still don't really agree with each other, and, they're still keeping each other at an arm's distance, whether it be China or Russia, because they all want to just do what's best for their own country. But when you use a monetary system that nobody can control, but everybody can transact on, that works for everybody. And so Bitcoin solves that. So I don't have to trust that, if I don't say, or if I don't believe in something that America believes in, that they're going to shut off my money. Or if I'm Russia and I don't believe in something that China believes in, they're going to shut off my money. With the BRICS currency, we can all use a neutral money where we can transact wherever, with whoever, and it's open and fair to everybody. And so Bitcoin solves that problem. All throughout history, we always kind of had to trust each other, or there was coercion to make sure that we can transact with whatever money they were using at the time. But now that solves that problem. At the end of the day, when it comes to Bitcoin, this is the first time in history when we have something that we can call the perfect money. Bitcoin is the perfect money. It is a perfectly secured system of electronic cash that we can exchange with whoever, wherever, whenever, 365, 24/7. Nobody can stop it. Nobody can hack it. Nobody can get into it. Nobody can steal it from you. It is like the perfect money. And we're 15 years in, and this thing has, again, survived so many attacks, and it's still getting ignored by the general public. Another great thing about Bitcoin is that it's decentralized. Everybody who's running a node is making sure that the system is safe from all over the world, which is, again, one of the greatest things that you can have. So if you have your money in a bank in New York City and that bank blows up, well, where's your money? Well, it's gone. But if there's a node running in New York and that node gets blown up, but there's a node running in Russia, or there's a node running in Venezuela or El Salvador, your money's still fine. The system is still fine. And even going down to countries, it's like, okay, cool. If China doesn't want to let its people use Bitcoin anymore, they can just up and move, hopefully, and know that their money is still safe. They can still use it because there are people all over the world still keeping the system safe. It's kind of like a virus being decentralized. You cannot shut it down. It's pretty amazing. Another great thing about it is that it's inclusive to the world. Like, anybody from all over the world can use it as a money if they want to exchange value with it, or you can just store your wealth in it. The stock market is only available to a very small percentage of people. And it's crazy because Apple is the number 2 most valuable asset on planet Earth, but only a small percentage of people can actually partake in buying some of it. And then with that, again, the stock market's only open for a limited amount of time during the day. So having an asset that is available to everybody that's open 365 is just a game changer to build wealth and bring wealth to countries and people who don't have wealth, or were never even going to get it in the first place. And I've been seeing this a lot lately, even from like younger people, but a lot of older people as well. They'll argue like, why Bitcoin? Why don't we just go back to gold? Why don't we, get back on a gold standard? And we need a sound money system. That is what Bitcoiners and gold bugs, they know. We need a sound monetary system, but There is no other system more sound than Bitcoin. There will only ever be 21 million coins, and that is what we need. We don't need gold. We don't know how much gold is out there. Like, nobody knows. Even if you look at the market cap, and I seen this recently on a podcast, if you look at the top assets by market cap, number one is gold, and it has a market cap of 16 trillion. Nobody knows that. Nobody knows how much gold has come out of the ground in the last 6,000 years. Nobody knows how much America holds, or Russia, or, you know, wealthy families around the world. Like, nobody, like, how can you put a market cap on something that has no record of history, like, for the past 6,000 years? Like, we don't know how sound gold is. Now, it's very slow to come out the ground, but we don't know how much gold is actually out there. And then people are always finding more gold. We haven't even started searching gold in the ocean and digging there, or asteroid mining, which is now, people are starting to look into that. Again, we need a fixed money supply, and gold is not as fixed as people think it is. So, and plus it's old, it's hard to move and hard to transport. People can come take it from you. You can take it from your families. The government, they already did it one time in 1933 with the executive order, what was it, 6102, where they told everybody, you must give us your gold. So they've already seized it from the people once. So that system is kind of dead. Like, gold is done. We need something better, something more fixed, something digital, something that can't be taken from you. Bitcoin is just all around better. Like, we need something that moves fast, transacts fast, it's portable. I can move it from here to Japan in 10 minutes. It's just all around better than gold. It beats gold. I'm sorry, it beats gold. We can't go back to gold. Gold's dead. It's done. It looks nice on a watch or a chain though, but it's it's done. That gold is done for a store of value for the world. Well, maybe not done as far as a store of value for the world, but we're not going back to a gold standard. We need something better. So the only downside to Bitcoin that I can actually see, it requires a responsibility level. Like, you have to be responsible if you're going to be in charge of your own money. In the early days, a lot of people lost their passwords to their Bitcoin. Of course, they didn't know what it was back then. It was just a collectible, so they didn't really think about it much. But if you're going to get into Bitcoin and you're going to put it in your own cold storage wallet, you need to be responsible for your money. You need to be responsible for your value. So that is like the only downside that I mean, it's not a downside to me because I'm responsible. I can take care of my own self and my own money. But a lot of people don't have that same level of responsibility, or they don't want to hold themselves accountable. They like it when they can blame somebody else, or it's somebody else's fault, or somebody else is in charge. So if something messes up, it's not on them. But again, having freedom comes with a certain level of responsibility. I feel like everybody should take that. You know, if you want to be free, it's going to come with that level of responsibility. You're going to have to be responsible for your own self and your actions and your decisions. So again, that's like the only downside, is that it requires a level of responsibility over your own money. Like, it's in your hands. You have to guard this thing and make sure that everything is set up correctly. So as the current system is collapsing, Bitcoin is that life raft. And I do believe that everybody, again, should do your own research and look into it. Maybe watch a couple podcasts, listen to Oliver Velez from Bitcoin Unleashed, Jack Mallers, listen to Michael Saylor talk. Like, everybody should take the time out, read a couple books to figure this stuff out, because the current system is dying and everybody's outside feeling it, but they don't know why. And Bitcoin is the life raft. It is that escape valve. It is your savior. It is what's going to help you and your family in the new world. So yeah, hopefully you guys found this interesting, or maybe look at some things from a different angle. And so yeah, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.